Welcome to our EFTI talk, the Erika Friedheim Tourism Institute, Department of Tourism, Hospitality, and Event Management, Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Access, IDEA Council in the College of Health and Human Performance at the University of Florida are presenting to you EFTI talk. Today's topic, strategic leadership and management from leaders' experiences and insights. It is my great honor to introduce our highest leader in our college, Dr. Mike Reed, who is the Dean of the College of Health and Human Performance at the University of Florida. Dean Reed is recognized for his visionary leadership and research. Dean Reed has maintained an unbroken record of the National Institute of Health NIH funding. He has published over 120 scientific articles and mentored over 100 junior scientists. Dean Reed will introduce our prestigious panelists today and serve as moderator for today's program. For our audience, if you have any questions during our section, please leave your question in the chat box and we will come back to you during our Q&A session. Dean Reed, the stage is yours.
Rachel, thank you much for that kind introduction and for allowing me to be part of this. Coming from a science background, I don't know very much about tourism and hospitality except as a tourist myself, but it's always a pleasure to learn from executives in the profession, especially in a state like Florida that is so critically dependent on and invested in the tourism and hospitality and event industry. I think these webinars are a wonderful institution. Thank you for setting them up and organizing them. Today, it's our pleasure to welcome three distinguished executives from different areas in the industry. All are members of our Eric Friedheim Tourism Institute Advisory Board, and all are Gators. So these are folks who have a dog in the fight where this conversation is concerned. They've been very loyal to the university and we're delighted to have them with us today. First up is Rob Alday. Rob is the CEO of Abode Luxury Rentals. He graduated from University of Florida from the College of Business with a specialization in travel and tourism, moved out to Park City where he founded Abode Luxury Rentals with his wife. This is a boutique luxury property management company and vacation rental company. They currently manage over 160 properties in 2 mountain towns. And they have a diversified business portfolio that includes laundry services, HOA management, and concierge services. Rob, we're delighted to have you with us today. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Second is Kimberly Green, or Kim. She's also an alum of our college. She's coming home to help us and help our students better understand the industry. Kim currently is a senior manager for meetings and events at Thermo Fisher Scientific. Prior to that, she's had a long career in events and in marketing, serving as a lead associate at Booz Allen Hamilton for a number of years. She was manager of corporate events and sales support services for Kaiser Permanente, and basically has an extensive background in healthcare, government association, and nonprofit meetings and events. Kim, in addition to being a Gator, is a certified meeting professional and a digital event strategist. Kim, again, welcome to this webinar. And lastly, unfortunately, we don't get to see Scott's face, but the logo you see there is for Scott's company. Scott Taylor is joining us on this webinar today from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, which, as most of you know, was hit hard today by Hurricane Ida. Scott is talking to us, borrowing the Wi-Fi from a fast food company, sitting in the parking lot with his cell phone, because that's how devoted he is to the University of Florida and his role as an EFTI board member. Scott is the president and COO of Walk-Ons Enterprises, which includes the Walk-On Bistros. They are directly affiliated. They're a sponsor of the Florida Gators. Scott is an alum of the University of Florida. He's a member of our EFTI advisory board, and he's an expert in the hospitality industry. He serves on numerous industry boards. He's been a restaurant industry leader who's served the industry both in professional organizations and also at the government level. He is very actively engaged with his community and nonprofit organizations. And because of his expertise, he is often invited to be a guest speaker at prestigious universities around town, including the University of Central Florida, Cornell University, LSU, and others. He's published numerous articles about the restaurant industry in prestigious journals like Forbes and Inc. magazine. This all stems from his background, where he got his BA in the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences at the University of Florida. And he's currently working on his MBA in global business from the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. So Scott, welcome aboard. It's great to have you with us. I'd like to start off. Oh, there you are. Thank you. We heard that voice. I'd like to start off with some questions that are really strategically important for the University of Florida. We think about some of these things at the academic level, but can greatly benefit from hearing how industry approaches some of the major issues that are affecting our university. One of those that has been of ongoing concern to us over the last few years, a special emphasis, is on issues of inclusion, diversity, equity, and access to higher education. We realize that these same issues are very much on the minds of industry leaders, that they are relevant to the tourism, hospitality, and events industry. And so I wondered if we could start off by beginning this conversation on that topic with a fairly general question. So I'd like to begin, Kim, by asking you this question. Can you tell us a little bit about the importance of diversity from the events, especially corporate events and industry events perspective? What do you think is the most compelling rationale for promoting diversity and equity in your industry? And could I ask about, as you make that case, what might be some challenges that make it hard to get those points across or to generate enthusiasm around these issues?
I think one of the most important things in terms of diversity and inclusion, equity, and access is really, that at this point in time, it's more than just a conversation around what it does for your business. At this point, it's really about that it's the right thing to do. And I think, as you're making the case for your organization, we all have seen that diversity does really truly impact the bottom line, but I think it's about more than that. It's about giving people the access to those roles and really getting the diversity of thought into your organization, especially as an events professional. If we're all on a team that's made of people that look like each other and act like each other and have the same thoughts, then how are we going to accurately reach our audiences in a meaningful and effective way? Because we have audiences that are diverse and have different needs and different ideas of what they want from an event. So I think that's one of the big reasons why in the events industry in general, from a corporate perspective, we should have a diverse team. And like I said, it is simply the right thing to do at this point in time. And I think that means a lot more to people when they're looking for jobs and looking to come and join your organization, is that they see a truly representative picture of what society looks like in your organization. So if I were to go to a new organization, I want to see people that have, the same background as I do and look like I do as well, but also are very diverse. And I think one of the challenges that people have at this point in time too is that a lot of organizations thought that they were truly diverse until some of the issues happened with social justice in the last year or so. A lot of organizations thought just because we were promoting women or we were making sure that they were part of our leadership team, that that was as diverse as we needed to be, when it truly wasn't. So I think, the events of the last year or year and a half or so have really opened organizations' eyes to be able to take a deep look inside to see what diversity truly looks like and how we can move that forward.
Man, that's a terrific start to this conversation, Kim. Thank you for that. Rob, could I turn to you? Could you talk to us a little bit about that issue as it relates to hospitality?
Yeah, I think the lodging industry as a whole is fairly diverse, and having and in our sector, the vacation rental industry, it's an up and coming industry that people are wanting to get involved in. And so for us as a business, it's been nice and fairly, I wouldn't say easy, but there's a lot of people that are coming into our industry. And so, we're able to not have to go out there and get people and have a strict set of rules that we have to go by to get, diverse talent in the door. Whereas right now, and I know it's not in every industry, but it seems like more and more people are coming to us. And some of that I feel like, with specific companies is, the culture you create, and then what is, out there as far as word of mouth goes and how your company's viewed. If you create this great company culture where people feel valued and their opinions are valued, then I feel like more and more people will be coming to you from diverse areas, and you're just not going to get, the same type of person coming through the door.
Yeah. Terrific points there, Rob. Scott, your business is a little different. You have a lot of employees that are very much customer facing every day, all the time. How does diversity impact walk-ons and really the hospitality and food industry in general?
So, I think the food industry, we have a pretty diverse workforce at the hourly level. Everybody gets their first job, or a lot of people get their first job in the restaurant industry. And so it's a matter of providing the opportunity to grow from those positions where, I think our industry, a lot of times isn't considered a real job. And your parents' question, you're still working. I think from a workforce standpoint, the best way for us to diversify is to provide that opportunity for all the hourly team members to grow into management roles, from management roles into corporate roles. I think you have to be purposeful in being diverse. It's not just going to happen because it tends to, like I said, you've got, like I said, a very diverse workforce. So for us, we really define roles and try to, like I said, our corporate office has 49 people in it. We have more males than males, but we're not as diverse from an ethnicity standpoint as we would like to be. So as we're hiring, we're to bring people from the restaurants into our it's thing to do, and you dining in a restaurant, I tell you, to have a diverse workforce. And so important. We talk about it, and we have there's a pretty strong focus from an hourly level, groups of team members that management. So it's helping are out there that really kind of were highlighted this past year. We just focus on it all the time.
Yeah. So thank you for that. A little bit of breakup there, but I think we got the gist of what you were saying. And some of the comments you made really got to the issue of how do you hire a diverse workforce, and how do you retain them? Kim, can I come back to you on that? Is that something that you see happening at Thermo Fisher or in the event industry in general? Are you able to attract and retain the sort of diverse workforce that you'd like to have?
I think one of the best strategies for actually attracting more of a diverse workforce is to actually ask some of your diverse employees for referrals as well, because many of the people that become great employees of organizations come from referrals of people who are already great employees of that organization. So I think that's one way that you can help to tackle that diversity recruiting challenge. I think also really varying the types of places that you're looking for those individuals as well, and really broadening your scope and not necessarily posting your job descriptions on the same channels, really figuring out who are the types of people that I'd like to attract to my team, and where are they? Are they online in a specific group? Are they in person hosting a meetup? Where are those people? Like finding those types of people that you want to attract to the organization and really coming to them and getting, establishing a relationship and really building a channel for recruitment is helpful there as well. Another thing I think could be interesting to explore, and I haven't had the opportunity just yet, would also be, blinding some of the information that you have on resumes in terms of like personal identifiable information, and truly looking at each candidate for their individual skills and the requirements of the job, and not having any sort of bias in the back of your mind about who that specific individual may be. I think that could also lead to some different outcomes there as well.
So could I ask you, is that something that your current firm or a prior firm where you worked has done? Have you tried hiring with blinded resumes like that?
I have not, but it's something that I'm certainly interested in doing the next time that we have a posting available. I think that could be an interesting way to take some of the bias out of recruiting.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Rob, how about from your perspective? What have been some useful approaches that have been successful for you?
Kind of touching on what Kim said, was getting a lot of referrals from current employees where you have the diversity already there, but you're then getting their referrals have been some of the best hires that we've made, and there have been people that come in on the bottom level, sort of talking about what Scott was talking about, but they've in 6 months to a year, they're in a management role. Because it's just been such a great fit. And in part of that too is bringing together our team of decision makers, making sure that's a diverse team to where you're getting opinions from, people with different backgrounds and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's very insightful. Thank you. I wonder, before we leave this topic, if we could look ahead a little bit. Do you see trends, and Kim, I'd like to come back to you on this. Do you see trends in the industry from your perspective that would predict how diversity will continue to evolve in events, and how would you predict what you see in the future?
I definitely see more of a focus on it in the future. I think in the past, we've had a lot of the conversations around diversity, and it seemed more of like a snapshot in time and not truly a movement. But now I feel like people are focused on making sure that there is diversity within the industry, setting up different groups within the industry that are focused on diverse individuals. And I do think that, with everything that's gone on in the world, that it will continue to be a movement per se that we really need to get right at this point in time, and we really need to continue the focus on it. And I've seen at a lot of other organizations and past organizations too, the first ever chief diversity officer that's actually hired for the organization, where someone is truly accountable for that piece of the business, and someone is held responsible. So I think even seeing that within the corporate industry, for the types of events I support, is truly a great thing, to have such a great focus and a high level executive that's on the team to actually make sure that we're moving that work forward.
Very nice. Rob, from from a hospitality standpoint, what's your perspective on the future?
Yeah, no, I think more and more it's the people that you're hiring are looking to see if your workplace is diverse and your clients are as well. So that's because, as you know, this thing has gotten more and more attention. I feel like that everyone is focused on it, which is a great thing, and that helps, push the ball forward.
Yep, terrific. Scott, we saved you to the last here, pal. Tell us about the food industry. What do you think of in the future for diversity in the food industry? Scott, I think you're muted. So Scott appears to be muted, and we're not getting much from him yet. Perhaps Ida's still interfering. Hopefully he can log back in and we can reconnect with him in just a second. I really appreciate the opinions that I've heard from Rob and Kim and from Scott today, because I know that many of the people who are on this, the participants, are students, and they're looking very much from the perspective of academia, but headed into the industry. And so hearing the perspectives that we've had from you on this issue have really been helpful. While we wait for Scott to come back, maybe we could move the conversation along to another issue that's really relevant to the University of Florida at present. The University of Florida, as Kim and Rob both know, is really focused at this point in strategic efforts toward the growth and the utilization of artificial intelligence across all of our disciplines and as educational opportunities for our students. The university and the state of Florida is investing heavily in experts, scholars in artificial intelligence who we're recruiting to the university. That includes new faculty members for the Tourism, Hospitality, and Event Management department. And so given this emphasis on artificial intelligence and given the growing expertise and programs in artificial intelligence, I think it'd really be useful to hear an industry perspective on it. First off, just what's the current state of things from the standpoint of the hospitality industry, Rob? Is artificial intelligence something that is turning out to, is it showing up in your life? Is it relevant to the work you're currently doing?
It is, and it's funny how it works. Is it kind of starts with the big hotels and then trickles down to us, at some point. So we're seeing a lot of it, and you can see what the bigger hotels are doing and how it's coming down to us. But by time it gets down to us, it takes a few years. A lot of what has affected us is more on the data analytics side of that, and identifying current and historical booking patterns and tracking consumer behavior and what they're looking for, and identifying specific demographics and targeting those customers and that sort of thing. So I would say in the past 5 years on from a vacation rental standpoint, the data analytics has gone through the roof, and you can just see that gaining and gaining and gaining, and that's been great for us because hotels have always sort of had that, but now the vacation rental property management sector of the lodging industry is harnessing that power too.
Yeah, could I ask you about that? I think of data analytics as requiring a fair amount of software and intellectual infrastructure. How does that work for independently owned property management firms like yours? Are you responsible? Do you have to do this data analytics yourself, or are there commercial platforms that you can utilize for the sake of your company? Tell us about that, would you?
Yeah, so through our property management software, then there's another company out there that will that does all of the data analysis for us. So they tap into our software and then pull all the data and they analyze it. And then, we go through it and make decisions based on the information we get out of there.
Yeah, I bet that's a pretty dynamic relationship nowadays. But
Yeah,
things
exactly.
are changing rapidly.
Yeah, their company's only been around for like, I want to say 3 years, and the amount of growth they've had is just through the roof.
Scott, welcome back, man. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry.
Oh, not at all. We're glad to have you back. We're currently talking about artificial intelligence in various aspects of the industry. I wonder, at present, for walk-ons, is that something that y'all think about? Is it something that's useful for you?
So we're not using any AI right now. It's interesting. It's definitely out in the industry, you see a lot of it, and the guest service recovery type deal, the hotlines. Seeing some pretty cool AI in hotels. I travel quite a bit, and just the AI concierge that kind of greets you when you first arrive at the hotel and do a message. But no, we're not doing much with it right now. But I do see it's something that we'll probably figure out how to incorporate in the future.
I think I've heard some of the other board members on the EFTI advisory board talking about the restaurant industry and how AI and data analytics and predictive software have been useful for just-in-time food delivery and supplies and managing your supply chain. Does that play out for y'all at Walk-On?
I think, in the future, possibly. I think supply chain is interesting, right?
Yeah.
And once again, I think it's kind of going through what are the ways where it makes sense. Not right now.
Yep. That's important. It doesn't make sense to jump on a new trend just because it's new. It's got to fit your company.
Right.
Kim, let me turn to you from the event standpoint. How does artificial intelligence benefit your work?
I think it's been great to see how it has benefited us, especially when it comes to virtual events. A lot of the virtual event platforms are now incorporating AI into their platforms to be able to actually help suggest sessions when people are registering for conferences and things like that. When you have virtual content that you've captured and recorded and make that available on demand, it'll serve it up almost like Netflix does, where you watch this one session, so we think you'd be interested in this next session. So I think that's really exciting to see in the events industry to help really personalize these events, particularly when it comes to virtual events, to exactly what our specific audience is looking for. And the other thing that I've seen recently with platforms as well is they actually are using AI to do networking and to match people up with business opportunities and with people that they may want to network with. Because when you're at an in-person event, it's much more easy to, run into someone while you're waiting in line to check in and introduce yourself and get to know more about them. But it's a different story when you may be online and you're not necessarily wanting to search through 1,000 attendees and find the person that you're looking to meet. But it's been pretty cool in that, I would be registered for a conference and then I would get all of these recommendations of people that I might want to meet or people that I may want to do business with, which I think is very, very helpful. And I'm glad to see the industry for events going in that direction.
Those sound like fundamental changes in the way conference dynamics work. Would you say that it's becoming disruptive, that really it's changing the sort of fundamental approach to conferences and meetings?
I would say it's definitely changing the approach, because everyone out there in terms of our audience now expects like that Netflix style experience where, they would choose something and then we would give them suggestions rather than just having them look through a list of 20 different sessions that they can register for. So I think like being able to offer those opportunities both virtually and in person when you're registering as well, to really tailor the specific event towards the individual is something that is going to be an expectation of people in the near future.
Yes, yes, absolutely. That's such an interesting story. Rob, from the lodging industry, there also are big changes. What sort of disruptions are you seeing that are driven by data analytics or by artificial intelligence predictive software?
A lot more now that really on the vacation rental side of things, people are using dynamic pricing, which the airlines and hotel industry have used for years, but has never tapped our side of the business. And that's really come out in the past 3 to 4 years where people have started to do that. It makes it really hard because not every home, is similar. You're not always comparing apples to apples. So that's one big side that because that's affected. I mean, we do it internally, but we do it a little bit different. We take all the data and then we adjust pricing and things manually. But we've seen the revenue growth. I mean, it's been double digits since we started implementing that. So that's a huge thing that's really really affected us. And then some of it you see on the client end, whether it's pre-arrival messaging, that sort of stuff. We've gotten to where we're kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out of there, because it's a balance of like the high tech versus the high touch. And at a luxury end, on the high end of things, a lot of the consumers, they're wanting someone, meet them at the house with a bottle of champagne and, that sort of thing. And so they're still wanting that personalized touch.
Yeah, that's a side of things I hadn't thought about before, but that makes perfect sense. I wonder, as these things begin to evolve, does that affect the way that the type of staff you're hiring, or the sort of training and on-job professional education that your staff might be required of? How do you adjust your workforce for this AI innovation?
I mean, it's a training process we go through once a year, as far as and what we call it in-house is the high tech versus high touch, of like knowing when you got to go touch them in face to face and deal with a client that maybe their hot water went out or something like that. We still do personalized check-ins at the property. So we walk someone through the property when they arrive, as opposed to just like send them a message, that's automated and say, here's your code, you can go in, that sort of thing. So it's really, and staying on top of the staff as far as, so they know like, okay, this level of, automated messaging and that sort of thing is okay. But on this side, we want to do it where we're actually touching the customer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, Kim, earlier you had mentioned in a different part of the conversation that there were new positions being created at Thermo Fisher to meet new demands. Are you seeing changes in the sort of the support staff or the types of services that are available through your company as it relates to artificial intelligence, or the sort of support that your office might need?
I think in general, just across the events industry, right now, everyone's trying to figure out what do things look like in the future in terms of virtual versus in-person versus hybrid. And there definitely is a different skill set, I believe, that's needed in the future for events. I can't really see a job in the future in the events industry where you wouldn't have to deal with, virtual technology or with AI, and really, being able to dive into those insights, especially when we talked about, creating more personalized types of events. And there's all sorts of data that comes from events. And I think across the industry, we've seen that, especially from virtual events, the sheer amount of data that we can collect from them, and really being able to take that data and be able to interpret it to get those key insights that you need through AI, I think is going to be a key differentiator for staff in the future. And I'm looking forward to you all offering your certificate, because I would like to be one of the first to get that as well when it's available. Off campus and whatnot, because I feel like it's a crucial part of being in the events industry in the future.
Thank you for that lead in, Kim. We appreciate the help. Of course, Kim is referring to the new certificate program that the Department of Tourism, Hospitality, and Event Management has created that allows their students to get a certificate in artificial intelligence as it relates to the industry. So we're excited about it, and thank you for that mention. Appreciate that. I wonder, is there some aspect of artificial intelligence, some service or ability from artificial intelligence that you don't have yet, but you wish you had, that you think would really strengthen your company? Rob, any thoughts on that at all?
Yeah, and it's not, I mean, probably one of the biggest things, marketing. We have a lot of the kind of the pre-arrival, automated type messaging and that sort of stuff. But really marketing, if you could know what someone's hot buttons were, like they're looking for a hot tub and this and that, and the first thing that's going to appear when they're searching is a hot tub or a theater room or, whatever, something like that. And maybe it changes up the text based on, what their kind of their user profile is. So that's something that could be pretty cool that could help. And then kind of on the flip side of that, if their user profile was, okay, they've rented houses around the country and they've been, not the best person to deal with, then a red flag pops up and says, okay, we're not going to, deal with these people. They threw a party and trashed a house in Aspen one year. So we're not, no need to deal with them, Yeah,
that sounds like a business opportunity right there, providing that information.
Yeah.
And how about it, Kim? You got a wish list? Is there anything in particular that would benefit your side of the industry?
I think one of the biggest things the technology is already there, but I don't see it utilized as much, is even just the use of smart devices in the meeting rooms when we're hosting events and that sort of thing, so that you don't have to run and find your banquet captain or, your convention services manager. You can say, I need an extra gallon of coffee, or I need the temperature in the room adjusted, or I need the lighting adjusted, like simple things that could easily be handled by these smart devices that you don't see as something that's rolled out across the hotel industry or the venue industry, I think would be amazing, just to add like a little bit of simplicity to the process when you're on site. The other thing that I would like to see is some robotic check-in too, and using like facial recognition more broadly, where you just walk up to the desk, recognizes your face, you get your badge, and you can go on your way, especially in this day and age when sometimes a lot of people don't want to have, person-to-person contact with everything that's going on. So even something as simple as that, as having, ways that you could make your check-in process more efficient and less heavy in terms of requiring temporary staff, I think would be helpful as well.
I don't want to get too far off base here, but the point you're raising really raises a question for me. While people definitely love convenience and they love being able to move through lines quickly, Lord knows we've all stood in conference lines for way too long. On the other hand, there's this issue about personal privacy and maintaining some sort of control over your own image and likeness. And is that a conversation that even exists in your industry? Is it something you think about, or am I just being paranoid?
No, I think there's a fine line there for sure. And I think it depends on your audience. But I would argue that with the phones that we have in our hands and in our pockets, a lot of that information is already out there. But I do agree that there is a lot to be explored in terms of privacy and who owns that data and that sort of thing. So I don't think it's any challenge that will be, solved immediately, but it's definitely something to consider for the future, because there definitely are those aspects as well.
Yeah. Well, that sort of gets to your question, doesn't it, Rob, about knowing who are the bad actors in your customer base. You got to be able to get some sort of ongoing information that can be shared among those of you who are in the lodging industry. Is there any resource for that at present? Is there any way to figure that out?
I think that I have heard of a few companies that are starting up, but nothing it's really great yet. So I think it's being worked on.
Well, I guess look for pictures at the post office maybe, but
exactly.
Hey, listen, but before we draw to a close here, I wonder if I could take just a moment to talk to you individually about sort of your personal experiences. I wonder if you look back over your distinguished careers, for the interest of the folks who are on there, the other participants, could you tell us a little something about maybe one experience in your career that was really memorable for you, that really helped you advance in your profession? Is there somebody in particular who was a mentor for you, or was there a particular opportunity that, looking back, you think it was really advantageous to help you get where you are today? Kim, how about you?
I would say one of the things that set me entirely on the right path in terms of my career was actually being in the tourism, hospitality, and event management program. It's such a robust program. I love that our last semester we were required to do our internship, our full-time internship. And that is something I definitely think set me up for success throughout the rest of my career. I actually did my internship through the United States Olympic Committee. So that's where I was matched up and had an amazing experience there, truly being able to see what it took to be a professional in the marketing and events industry. And I think just having that experience prior to graduation solidified in my mind that this is the industry that I want to be in. This organization and this university has set me up for success. And it's just a springboard from there. And I feel like that really opened the doors to a lot of different opportunities. And I would say that it's important too, to just learn as much as you can and build as many relationships as you can as well, and try new things. I mean, I worked in hotels, I've worked in associations, I've worked on the corporate side, I've worked in healthcare, I've worked in government. So I think it's important to just try all of those different types of events and in the industry and see what sticks and see what you like, and really, focus on what makes you happy and what you're good at.
Well, that's the second great advertisement we've gotten for you in this hour. We are big on experiential learning at the University of Florida, and in this college in particular. Every single undergrad who comes out of this college gets to do a dedicated experiential learning activity, and we agree with you. We think it's fantastic. Thank you. How about you, Rob? What was something that sticks out in your career that really helped springboard you forward?
I mean, I think sort of dovetailing off what Kim said was that, not being afraid to jump into an industry and do hard, dirty work and continue to grind through it. And then you'll see your opportunity as you're in there. It's sort of, people are always looking for their path type of thing. But if you're walking around the forest, you're never going to see it. You got to go running into the forest, and then you'll find the path. And so I feel like that was one of the biggest things for us, and like starting the business and everything like that is being in the industry, doing dirty work, understanding how everything goes from on the ground level, and then kind of working up from there.
Yeah, fantastic. Terrific. I got one more question. And before I do that, I want to remind our participants that we're taking questions through the chat line. And so if you have questions for our guests, either Rob Alday or Kim Green, please type it into the chat line. And Dr. Fu is monitoring that, and she'll help relay those questions to our guests at the end of this hour. While we give folks a chance to do that, let me ask one more question that is also a little bit personal. It sounds like both of you have had stellar careers, and there's probably nothing that you would possibly change about what you did in the past. But if you were to look back, might there be a little something that you could maybe make a different choice, or something you might have avoided, or something that you think, well, if I had it to do over again, I might do it different? Anything at all? Rob, any ideas?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, it's comes from the HR standpoint of, when you see a hire that's not working out, sometimes you don't want to stick the round peg in the square hole. If you see it's not working out, then it's not good for anybody, and it can really drag down your culture. You're better to cut bait, and when you see that happening, then just try to keep someone around because you want to be nice, or whatever the reasonings are that you're telling yourself. I think that we learned that somewhat early on, is like, okay, this can really drag your culture down and not be a positive impact on your business. So when you see it not working out, just you need to move on.
Great point. Kim, you get the last word. Anything that you might have done a little bit differently in the past?
Yes, I think mine relates to the first section of our conversation, in the fact that we've all been in situations where we've seen that, people may not have been treated fairly, or comments may have been made, in terms of diversity. And when you're younger in your career, you get afraid to speak up, especially if that's coming from someone who's your superior. And I think that's one of the most important things that I learned, is that it is important to speak up no matter what the situation is, and to not let yourself be silenced when you're trying to do the right thing.
Wow, that's a great message, especially for this time, Kim. Thank you. Dr. Fu, I need to turn this over to you. I know that you've probably got some questions and some things you'd also like to ask our panelists. Before I shut off, I just want to thank Kim and Rob. Thank you again. And Scott, I hope he's doing well out in Baton Rouge. It was good to have him with us. Professor Fu, it's all yours.
Thank you so much, Dean Reed. So again, it's been wonderful 47 minutes with our speakers and our college dean. I do have 2 questions from our students. The first one, students would like to ask our speakers about what advice would you give to students to be able to grow in their careers? So Kim, would you like to take this one?
I would say really focus on the importance of building relationships. Get to know as many different people as you can, and really build and nurture those relationships, because you never know, especially in this industry, in the events and hospitality industry, it's big, but it's also small at the same time. So just because you couldn't work with someone on a specific project or event doesn't mean 5 years down the line, you might not run into them again and have an opportunity to work with them. So I would really stress the importance of, establishing good relationships and really focusing on how you can grow those relationships within the industry and nurture them and maintain them.
Thank you. How about you, Rob?
Sort of the same thing, that everything is word of mouth. And so if you get out there and you meet people, and going back to not being afraid to get in the industry and just start grinding, even at the bottom level, that's the biggest thing, is just get out there, get the experience, meet people, and your opportunities will open up.
Thank you so much. And I also love what you both have just shared about move on, speak up, and now is continue to enhance the networks. That's wonderful. So this is another very similar questions, but very specific. Students would like to know what hard and soft skills should a successful person in hospitality and event industries have? So any particular soft skill, hard skill? Rob, would you like to take this one?
Yeah, for us in our sector, it's adaptability for sure. We always say, you plan your day, you plan your week, and then a grenade goes off and blows everything up, and you better be able to adapt and put the pieces back together and figure out how you're going to solve this problem and still get to your end goal, that you're trying to accomplish. So adaptability is key for sure.
Awesome, thank you. Kim?
I would echo Rob's point on adaptability. That's something that's key in the events industry as well. but really being focused on your audience and your end user and who is experiencing your events, like being hyper focused and hyper targeted to that, and really being open to the insights that you can learn about them, I think is key as well. And really just being a people person that can build relationships with individuals and make them feel comfortable. I think that that's a key skill as well.
That's awesome. And I know students and our audience are also very curious about where did you get inspiration and knowledge from books, movies, your mentors, your mentees, conferences. So any thoughts, any tips? Kim?
I think in the events industry, some of the key conferences that I like to stay involved in are like PCMA and CVent and MPI, really seeing what other events industry professionals are doing, but also going outside of our own events industry space too, and looking at other conferences like Salesforce. Their Dreamforce conference, they always are doing, you know, the best of the best in terms of events. We're looking at different festivals even and seeing how you can bring that atmosphere into your events. I think, you know, really taking a look even outside of the events industry into other events that people are doing are a huge source of inspiration for me, and attending as many different events as I can to get ideas, I think is important as well.
Rob?
Yeah, in a similar fashion, we gather our inspiration from when we travel. We always stay in vacation rental homes and see what people are doing in different markets and how they approach, you know, everything from when you book to before you arrive, if they set up any concierge service, how you check in, what goes on throughout your stay, how the stay ends, that whole, just the whole gamut we pay close attention to. And so, you know, we like to see what people are doing good and maybe not so good too. So that's a big thing for us.
Thank you. So again, it's been a very wonderful 1 hour to learn from your insights and your experiences. I also want to give our audience and students, I know many of you have heard about our artificial intelligence data analytics certificates that our THEM department is offering right now. So in the 4th semester, we offer artificial intelligence, revolution, and applications in tourism, hospitality, event management. And another class is electives, is data mining with tourism social data. And for the other one, it's for in the spring, we offer smart cities, attractions, and theme parks that is required. And for the electives, we also offer geography information system with social data. So with 9 credits, which means 3 courses, you will be earning the artificial intelligence, data analytics in tourism, hospitality, event management certificates. We offer both graduate and undergraduate certificates. Right now, they are for residential students, but hopefully in 1 or 2 semesters, we are going to offer the online. And Kim, definitely, we heard you. You simply apply. That is open to all the interested individuals. So for today, I really hope our audience enjoy our speakers as much as I have enjoyed our speakers and your presence. So thank you so much again, Rob and Kim, for your time, for your insights. Dean Reed, thank you so much for your leadership. I hope you enjoy our webinar, and our webinar will be posted through our particular YouTube channel. So wonderful to have you all to celebrate Monday with us. And for our industry, we are, I would say, the happiness, the business of happiness. We hope you travel, you participate and attend events, and you celebrate your life with your loved ones, with your colleagues, with your friends. Thank you so much. And before we send you our best, our hospitality greetings, Kim, did you have a final words, statements you would like to talk to our students. And I thank you so much. You promoted our department so well. So come to our THE, and we love to have you to be our major. Kim, any final words to talk to
Sounds
our
good.
audience?
Thank you so much for everyone tuning in. You're really in a great place, coming from the program myself. So you're in good hands, and feel free if you'd like to reach out to me. I'm sure Dr. Fu or Dean Reed can give out my information. I always am happy to talk to any students and talk about my experiences in my career.
Thank you. Rob?
Yes, thanks everybody for tuning in. And I think one thing to look for, we touched on it briefly, was when you're out there and you're looking for a job and that sort of thing. I think that focusing on what the company's culture is a huge thing. We've seen that through our company and other competitors, and as a business owner, you have to focus on building it, and as an employee looking for a job, you have to make sure it's a good fit with where you're at personally. So I think really focusing on company culture is a big priority.